You know, it's not every day that you get to add a guy that played on a Sweet 16 team, I believe. Yeah, that's where they lost the Sweet 16. That went to 2 NCAA tournaments and went to the Sweet 16. He was a major contributor on that team. So I think Kyle's important for, obviously, you lose Octavius, you lose Corey. You can add a veteran guy with experience, and he's talented. He's just very different in 2 areas. One, he's very a vocal leader, where Octavius and Corey were both quiet guys. Second is he's a forward, he's not a center. Doesn't mean Kyle can score, he's got a great jump hook. He's one of those left-handed guys that you know he's going to go shoot with his left hand, you still can't stop him. But he also can face the basket and make shots. So it'll allow us to be more versatile on offense and not have to be such a team that always has guys in the low post, which I think will help our guards. It'll open up the floor a little bit more for us offensively. His versatility, because Gary can do the same thing. He's worked on his versatility as well. So Kyle's obviously our biggest addition because of his experience. Trey, having sat out and redshirted, getting a feel for his game, he'll help us most as a young player with his athleticism, which we missed from Shaq down the stretch, our ability to have a 6'7" guy when you wanted to press in the front of the press, and Trey's an elite offensive rebounder. He's got a chance to really be a great offensive rebounder because he's got a nose for the ball and he's really quick off his feet. You don't have to coach Trey Scott to go to the offensive glass. It's in his DNA. So that'll be what he helps us most with, his running, jumping, blocking shots. As time goes on, he'll become a more complete player. But we need a guy. Having lost Shaq, we need, especially with our style of play. It's important that you got a guy that's around 6'7" or 8" that's a great athlete. Then obviously, everybody in Southern Ohio knows Jaron Cumberland. He was, in my opinion, the best player in Ohio by far. He's playing in the Derby Classic next week in Louisville. For our fans that want to go down and watch him and support him, he's got great toughness, and he's just a great recruit for us because Jaron's a guy that can do everything. He can shoot and he can pass. People look at him and say, well, he scored big numbers. But what his coach would tell you, Coach Noska from Wilmington, he's a very willing passer. He's a good teammate. It'd always be the adjustment for a guy as freshman, twofold. Defense, they don't play in high school because they don't ever guard anybody as good as them. And his the physical nature of the game at our level, that won't be a problem for him. Because of he is the strength of a college player right now. So Jaron's biggest adjustment will be quickness, guarding quicker players than he's guarded in high school, and which will translate to what I'm saying, getting him to where he can play on the defensive end, much like Jacob. Highly talented guys that once they adjust and they're able to get the defensive end of the floor, you'll see their offense. You'll see Jaron's offense. He's much like Jacob, very, very talented player. So, and then Big Nasir Brooks is a tough competitor, throwback big guy, and obviously with the loss of our 2 bigs, that we need a shot blocker. So we need a shot blocker, a guy that wants to protect the rim, that loves to play defense, loves to set screens. And just looking forward to getting him on campus because with Nasir, getting his body ready for a big kid, getting their body fat down and getting to where they can run and play on a college floor at 6'10", I've found in my time, it's by far the hardest for that guy because they don't have to run. The floor the high school floor is smaller. And the game's not as fast, so it's a bigger adjustment, the running and the conditioning part for the big kids. But he definitely can help us with his shot blocking. And obviously, we're still not done recruiting. So we have three scholarships to give. The transfer market is so plentiful in the spring. That was kind of by design. We don't always use all 13 anyway. So we're in the transfer market, and then obviously we're still recruiting some guys that can play next year from high school and junior college.
So at this point, you don't know if you'll use all 13. I guess it depends on what's available.
Yeah, for us, you can only play so many guys anyway. And when you can get your roster on solid ground and solid footing, what I've learned is you got to make sure a guy's the right fit. You're not in a panic to build your program and just trying to grab talent to have enough bodies. So, but yeah, we definitely need to add a couple of guys. But we're trying to make sure we get the right guys.
Can you reflect briefly? I mean, this is a weird question. You just finished 10 years here.
Yeah.
In your first 10 years, what you went through, where you are now, maybe some of the highlights.
Yeah. Well, first of all, proud that I'm standing. In our business, they're serious. I mean, in our business, I don't take that lightly. But the highlights are, as you know, you went through it with me early. TB is sitting here at 6 straight NCAA tournaments is something we're really proud of. To be one of 8 teams in the country that have done that says a lot about the hard work that our staff has done and the pride that we've been able to instill in our kids in our locker room and the culture that we've built. That would be by far our best accomplishment. I would say not so talked about would be the performance of our guys in the classroom and in the community. When I was hired, that was a big point of contention, something that they wanted me to focus on, our administration, and we put a lot of time and effort into that on our staff. The development of our guys personally, recruiting guys who represent our university in a positive light, and from the way they do interviews to what they do in the community to their performance in the classroom. Not talked about enough because it's not as important as wins and losses, but it's right there as far as what we're most proud of as a coaching staff. If you were to ask, Larry and I have been around for 10 years together. To be able to win on game night, but also have a program that your boosters can be proud of, and your former players can be proud of. The guys representing the program off the floor. Those would be by far the two things. Over a 10-year period, to be able to accomplish both, it's not easy. And then the last thing I will say was just because we've been to 6 straight tournaments doesn't mean we're satisfied with our performance in the tournament. I think people misconstrue that sometimes. So we're proud of it. It's a great accomplishment, but it's far from complete in what we want to do when March comes around. So but that's a grail that everybody's chasing all the time, and the only team happy in college basketball right now is Villanova. So the euphoria of the tournament is what it is, and you keep trying to put that one team together that can find a way to string those wins together in March. That's in our business. We're all trying to do the same thing.
I'm sorry. You put 2 players in the NBA. You've had 2 players go to the NBA. Well, obviously, Shine's the most recent. Can you just talk a little bit about what his determination to get there and how you feel about what he's accomplished?
Well, I think Sean's path to the NBA is a credit to him, but it's also something a mirror of what we try to do with our program, of teach our guys that hard work trumps everything, and that your character will eventually persevere and help you, which is why the new general manager of the Brooklyn Nets is building a whole new program and organization, and he wants winners. And that's why he signed Sean Kilpatrick to a multi-year contract, because of his character, not just his talent. So that's something that he's a product of our system. So yeah, we're extremely proud of that. But no different. I'm proud of a lot of guys that people don't know how well they're doing in their life personally, whether it's playing overseas or what they're doing in their personal lives.
But he could have gone overseas. I'm sure people were telling him to do that, where he could make more money. But he was
Sean definitely had options. I think he felt he was so close to getting a chance that his best chance was to stay. And I'm just glad it's working out for him because he left a lot of money on the table the last 2 years. He probably cost himself $500,000
by not going overseas.
By not going. So I'm just, he gambled on himself and it paid off for him. So good for him.
What's the significance of having two seniors that one's your point guard, the other is maybe your toughest kid and your best defender, and what that brings to your roster?
Well, leadership is a big part of college athletics. In all team sports, you want your veteran guys to be your leaders. Both Kevin and Troy are vocal. Both have been really essential in our success, especially the last 2 years, their sophomore and junior year. And they're both determined guys. I think they're extremely hungry for next season. So that's exciting because they're 4-year guys. The hard thing is when you do recruit transfers and junior college guys like we do, your seniors sometimes aren't guys that have been in your program for a long time. Like this year, we had 3 junior college transfers and Shaq. Where next year, you're going to have, the leaders of your team are going to be Troy and Kevin that are seniors. Then you got a vocal guy like Kyle that's an older veteran, and obviously Gary Clark.
How are you? Good to see you.
Who's in his 3rd year. So.
He's at home.
Leadership is people. I think people at times think that coaches, it's coach speak. Intangibles are what separates your team from being good or great. And I think that's going to be the key for us next year. That whether it's the intangible of leadership, the intangible of playing smart, the intangibles of how to win games, things that don't show up in a stat sheet. So they're definitely excited about those guys being the leaders of our team.
A couple weeks out from that final game, obviously a tough way to lose. What did you take away from that match? You've had some time to think about it.
When you're going through your season, you got to keep your players believing and focused. You can't talk about injuries. Never discuss injuries. The frustrating thing for us is that we tried to develop a certain kind of team that would be ready to play in March, and we ended up a mash unit. And we didn't talk about it a lot. People saw Gary Clark is still in a boot here. He's still in a boot tonight. He's going to walk into the banquet in a boot. Shaq Thomas is still on shutdown mode with a tear in his groin. Farad with the sprained knee. What happened to Quadri as soon as he had success. So that's the most frustrating part of it all. The 80-foot shot or the 1/10 of a second, no foul call when Octavius was obviously fouled. I think things like that happen in sports. The longer you coach, the more you're going to see stuff. You think you've seen it all, and you're next thing you know, look at the championship game. I mean, how about the shot the North Carolina guy makes, Marcus Page? What if that shot could have beat Villanova and cost them a national title? I mean, just crazy things happen. But it's the injuries that are the unfortunate thing, because we were trying to build towards a team that we felt we were pointing towards March all year, and then it became a mash unit type situation. And it affects, there's a domino effect on your strategy in a game. To being able to have a team that could play small, could play big, could press, things that Shaq Thomas was a big part of, we could no longer do with him out. Then all of a sudden Gary Clark, is he in, is he out? You're preparing all week, hoping he's going to play, but you don't know when he gets out there. So it was tough to have to play that hand in the tournament. You like to go in at full strength. You would have liked to have gone in at full strength.